Hi, welcome back to Grow New Plants. So I get asked quite a bit about how I mix up my soil. And I've basically got two mixes. I've got a starter mix, which I use for seed starts and most of my cuttings. And then I have a transplant mix for when I take, where I've already got seedlings that have grown and rooted up and I'm transplanting them up into bigger pots. So I got two different soils. So I'm gonna make two videos. This one here is gonna be the video on my starter mix. And it's really simple. There's one little caveat in it, is my fertilizer, that makes it a little bit more difficult, but it's basically 50% peat moss, 50% perlite. And I've taken it, so I've got Dr. Carl Whitcomb. He's a guy that I've read all of his books. I've actually met him one time. I went up to his farm one time and did a tour with him. He's pretty much a genius when it comes to plant propagation. He's all the Carl Whitcomb series crepe myrtles. He's the one that developed all those. And so his mixtures and all that stuff, most of that stuff is I've gotten out of his books. And he uses the Osmocote, and then he also uses some micronutrients. I'm not able to get the micronutrients, but I am able to get the Osmocote. So the Osmocote is, I believe, let me double check here, I got it written down. It's supposed to be 50% perlite, 50% peat moss, and then 12 pounds of Osmocote per yard. Well, I'm not mixing up a yard, obviously, so I did some converting and basically figured it down to 5 gallons worth of mix. So out of 5 gallons of mix, I put 3 ounces of the Osmocote in there. So I'm gonna get started, and basically I just got a 5-gallon bucket, and I just fill it half full. I do one bucket at a time, a 5-gallon bucket, because that'll fill up quite a few trays. And it doesn't have to be exact. And when you get your perlite, try and find the chunkiest that you can find. It's hard to find sometimes. It's not, a lot of times the stuff you get at Walmart or Home Depot or something, it's not gonna be very thick. It's not gonna be very big chunks. It's gonna be real fine, but the chunkier the better. It's just for aeration is all it is. So we've got about a half a gallon here. So I've got one of these containers here that I bought at Home Depot. And it's just a big container with a good snap-on lid. So I'll go ahead and dump that in there. This stuff makes a lot of dust too. Probably not good for me to be breathing, but stand back and let that settle a little bit. So we got that. And then it's got a big bale of peat moss. It's Canadian sphagnum peat moss. And I'll fast forward through this because it takes a minute. It's all compressed, so I kind of, as you put it in there, kind of break it up a little bit so it's not compressed anymore. So I'll fill this up real quick. Okay, so I got my peat moss now, so I'll dump that over here into my bucket. And then all I do, I just have these little portion containers, and I just put this on my scale, turn the scale on, put it on here, and then tear it out, which zeroes it out with that little cup on there. And then I just fill this thing up to where it reads 3 ounces. Looking at this upside down here. I'm on grams, I gotta get it back to ounces. That's 4 ounces, so a little bit too much. Okay, so that's right at 3 ounces, 2.9, that's close enough. So that's all I gotta do with that. So I measured that out. I dumped that in my bucket. Now I'm gonna get all this other stuff out of the way here. And basically, the reason I like these buckets, if you had a cement mixer, it'd be ideal. But I don't have room for one really. And this works okay. So basically, I got all my stuff dumped in here. And I just take these containers and put them on here. I got all this stuff in here. So what I do with these is I just take them, and it looks silly, but it works really good. And I either do on the ground. That's basically all I do. I sit there and roll this thing over, and make sure you get a good container that the lid's not going to pop off of, because then you got a mess on the ground. And then I'll take it and roll it. Take the glasses off. Take it and roll it back this way a couple times. And then I give it a little shake like this. A little shake like this. And we'll see what it looks like. That's pretty well mixed up now. Hopefully you can see that good in there. So that mixes it up really good. And so that's it. That's all there is to it. And I keep it in this container. I can keep it in the backyard and it stays sealed up. The rain doesn't get in it with this lid on here. So if it rains on it, it doesn't hurt it. Get a little bit of rain on the top, dump it off. So that's it for this mix. So I'm gonna make another video for the transplant mix, and I will link that one right up here at the top if you wanna watch that one too. Anyway, I appreciate you watching. Please like, please subscribe, please share my videos. Thank you.